We are just days away from the NFL Combine. I will be streaming live for all of the days, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and following the Twitch channel as well. I may be live on one or both. But also make sure you're subscribed and turning notifications on. I've had a lot of people ask me where certain videos are and why I haven't been uploading. I've uploaded the past few days, but people are not seeing these videos because YouTube's eradication of the sub box. So make sure you have notifications on. You don't need to watch the video exactly when you get the notification, but at least it tells you that it is out. But with the Combine coming up, had a great comment suggestion on one of the last videos that said, hey, maybe throw a 2-round mock draft out there so we can get a better idea of some of the players to look at the Combine. And I think that is a great idea. So even though we spend a lot of time usually on the first round, we'll move into round 2 and we'll talk about some of the potential day 2 picks and some exciting fits. And maybe we'll have a little bit more fun with the first round and get a little bit crazy and experiment, of course, with some viable options. We'll kick things off with the most wild pick ever. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana. It's going to be the pick here for the Raiders unless something insane happens in the build-up. But Jets on the clock at number 2. This is really, it feels like where the draft starts. I really don't know what's going to happen here. The current smoke, I would say, is that David Bailey will end up being the second overall pick. I'm mixed on David Bailey. Now, he does have some really exciting ability and talent. His speed rush is crazy. He is able to corner and get to the quarterback really, really quickly. Not so much against some of the top tier competition that we saw, and that was even in the Big 12. But he's been so productive. Not that that's always a good indicator of pass rush production in the NFL, but I'm very curious about what to do with him. I think in a vacuum, I would prefer Ruben Bain because of his ability against the run. I think he gives you a higher floor, and he's so powerful. And even if he's never a super high sack production guy, I think he's going to have his moments, and I think he's going to make a big impact in games. And his ability to be disruptive in every phase of the game, I think, is super, super valuable. And I guess I would currently lean on him being the second overall pick. Also, you might talk about some inside-outside versatility with him. I think that's also valuable. Teams certainly seem to value that, although you do want to be careful that you're not a tweener. You don't want to be a jack-of-all-trades, master of none. Not saying that that's what Ruben Bain is, but it's a common theme with, oh, he can do this, and that, and then they go to the NFL and they actually can't do any of those things because they don't really have this one thing that they do well, right? Like for a pass rusher in particular, you don't need a wide array of moves to be successful necessarily. If you have one really good move and you're able to set it up well, and if you have a counter potentially off of that, you're kind of good to go. And you can be a really good speed rusher, and that kind of, if you're strong enough, if you're working your leverage enough, that can work with speed to power as well, and the cat certainly agrees. I certainly appreciate everyone asking about the cat as well. Still a waiting game to see the results of the biopsy to see if she has the cancer that think they have. So I appreciate my comments being positive for once. And yeah, we're just hoping everything's okay, obviously, as we move to the Cardinals at number 3. What a transition. This is an interesting pick because I'm pretty much a tackle here every time. But what if the Cardinals decide that they want to take one of the top defenders off the board and try to improve that pass rush? I think that's not absolutely impossible. And this is also where I think Jeremiah Love is starting to be in consideration for a team. That doesn't mean that, a running back's going to go off the board at 3. I think Jeremiah Love is a top 3 player in this class. I don't think it's absolutely impossible that the Cardinals could just stick and pick and take what they might view to be best player available. Because Jeremiah Love is a top player in this class. He's incredible. It's just, how do you value a running back? Well, in this class, even though I am starting to get slightly higher on the backs, I'm not viewing them in the same vein as bell cow, superstar, RB1. But in terms of how they complement a backfield, I think a guy like Jadarian Price could be really good. Nick Singleton, Seth McGowan. I've really been talking up Mike Washington. I think Mike Washington's awesome. I think Kalen Black is awesome. But is round 2 in this mock draft going to feature a lot of running backs? It's not. So the drop-off is kind of insane. I might just try Jeremiah Love here again because I think it's a possibility, and he's one of the more standout players here, obviously. It's not impossible that they could upgrade over an older and injured James Conner and an injured and I don't know. What do we want to say about Trey Benson? Unproven, probably. Titans at number 4. They've got their pick here between Reese and Bailey. I think those are probably the top options. You know, oftentimes in these mocks, with the Cardinals taking a tackle off the board at 3, you know, that kind of starts the run. And the Browns often go tackle for me, and, you know, sometimes the Giants do. But here, all of the tackles are available. I don't know that the Titans would go that direction. They're paying so much money to Dan Moore. I don't think it's a bad idea to get Cam Ward more help. I really do. But I'm not sure that receiver is the best pick here. Although I do think, you know, pairing a Carnell Tate with Cam Ward is a pretty intriguing matchup. I think I am going to go David Bailey. It seems like the NFL is going to view him quite highly, and I think he will end up being an impactful pass rusher. He just wins too quickly. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the dominant disruptor, but I think in terms of a guy that can just kill a drive in one play, I think that can be David Bailey. He might end up being a high sack total guy, even though the impact overall on a down-to-down basis might be lower. And that's just a might be. We don't really know how guys are going to develop and what skill sets they're going to take on and how they're going to grow or not grow. He's got to get better against the run, but he really has the potential to be a really big impact pass rusher as we get to the Giants at 5. This really could not have worked out better with all of the Ohio State options. And I would love the idea of Arvell Reese becoming a Giant. Kind of falling a little bit here, I guess, if you want to call it a fall. But I don't really think the Giants are going to go that direction. I still think Caleb Downs would be in play here for the Giants, especially with John Harbaugh coming over and seeing what Kyle Hamilton was able to do. I think might view Caleb Downs in a similar vein, who I think is a really, really great prospect. Carnell Tate, certainly a good option as well. You might lose Wan'Dale Robinson to free agency. Malik Neighbors coming back from a major injury. Tate's got the ability to take the top off the defense, and he goes up and gets the football in traffic. He's an awesome vertical receiver. Sonny Styles, I think, is an incredible linebacker prospect. You start talking about Mansour Delane, Francis Maui-Noah, Spencer Fano, maybe even Monroe Freeling, who should have an incredible combine among the offensive linemen. The board has fallen quite nicely for the Giants, who probably wouldn't have considered any of these players taken ahead of them too strongly. Maybe a Bain. I kind of doubt Jeremiah Love, but maybe with Scadaboo coming off the major injury, it would be in play. What do you do here? I think we're going to go Caleb Downs. I don't know how I feel about this because in terms of it actually happening, it's a safety, and it's not necessarily an especially versatile safety. You know, it's going to be a box player more than likely, but I think Caleb Downs is great. I think he's the culture setter that the Giants will be looking for, and I think it's a good fit for those reasons. As we get to the Browns at number 6, the board has fallen great for them as well because they were probably always going to take a receiver or a tackle here, and they have the choice between the top receiver available and the top tackle available, whoever they deem that to be. We're going to go Carnell Tate today. I've been offensive tackle a lot for the Browns, but I think Tate certainly has potential to be the first receiver off the board. I remember seeing on Twitter someone of somewhat popularity really saying how it was a guarantee Jordan Tyson was going to be the first receiver off the board, and they would bet almost anything, put money on it, and I don't believe they've ever probably done the work into scouting and really being that much into college football, yet they're talking like there are guarantees. And I think that's the quickest way for anyone to reveal themselves as a true casual, is they talk about guarantees in the draft when there are none. And I think I've been pretty pro Carnell Tate as the first receiver off the board because I think he's the most complete player that checks the most boxes. And I love Mekhi Lemon as a prospect. I might end up being higher on Lemon than Tate, but Tate has the height, weight speed advantage. They might be the same weight, but he's got the overall size advantage, the overall athleticism advantage, and teams value outside receivers compared to a guy that may end up being a primary slot player. But Browns here keep him in state, and Ohio's Tate goes to the Browns. That might be good. I might start using that. Commanders at number 7. It's really worked out well for them here. This is an easy Arvell Reese for me. He falls a little bit. I don't think this is an impossible fall. If Reese is not taken at 2 or 4, maybe 3 is an option, I think he very easily makes it to 7. I don't know that the Giants would take like an attacking linebacker at 5, but if you're going to consider Sonny Styles to play off-ball linebacker at 5, would you not consider Arvell Reese? Maybe so. I would hope so. He's a great fit for this Commanders team. Kind of think, maybe taking over the Frankie Louvu role. I also think he could end up playing Mike. Bobby Wagner is old and really hasn't been very good for a while. Don't tell me about the All-Pros, man. The voters don't watch. I swear they don't. This guy has been a complete liability in space and in coverage for years now. Great run defender. That shouldn't be an All-Pro linebacker because you can defend the run and that's it. It's like, how many nose tackles who only are in on run stuffing downs are going to be All-Pros versus a 3-down interior defensive lineman that can defend the run and affect the quarterback? I don't like it. Anyway, imagine if the All-Pro cornerbacks every year were slot corners that only come in nickel. Anyway, it's a conversation for another time. Reese is really exciting as a prospect because of what he might be able to become as a pass rusher. The athleticism is great. The play strength is, as I've said on the channel before, as good as any prospect I've ever studied at linebacker. It's unbelievable to me. So I love him as a prospect. He might end up being my number 1 player in this class. And he goes to the Commanders here at 7. Saints at number 8. I think offensive line is in play. I do. I don't think it's impossible because left guard, a potential need. Could you go Maui Noah to play guard? Could you go Vega Ioane to play guard? I think it's a possibility. I'm going to go receiver here. I'm going to go Mekhi Lemon. I think he's a great prospect. And, D-line may be in play as well. I just don't know the right players there. It's not a great defensive tackle class. And maybe you're going to go Keldrick Falk here. We know the NFL is probably going to be pretty high on him. But 8, to me, seems a bit rich. I think Mekhi Lemon would complement Chris Olave really well. I think it's another weapon for Tyler Shuck, who it looks like you're going to try to build around. I think he's just a really great fit as we get to the Chiefs at 9. Now, I don't know that the board has fallen great for the Chiefs. Could you go Sonny Styles to replace Leo Chanel, who's going to be a free agent? I think that's not impossible. Could you go with a corner? Trent McDuffie, I've seen some potential trade rumors. I would hope that the Chiefs don't do that because of how good McDuffie is as a player, but they're kind of retooling a little bit right now. They didn't make the playoffs, major injury to Patrick Mahomes. They restructured his contract today to fill up a ton of cap space or open up a ton of cap space. They cut Mike Dana to open up more cap space. Could we see an unsuspecting trade to free up even more cap space? It's a possibility, right? And you might be looking for a cheaper replacement, which you could find here potentially at 9. Jeremiah Love off the board. Seems a bit early for Sadiq. So what do you do here if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and the board really hasn't fallen as perfectly as you may have wanted it to? Well, I think it's probably not the worst idea to stick and pick and go with the best offensive lineman available. I don't think that's a completely awful idea because you can never really have enough of those guys, and the Chiefs have, struggled at times to protect Patrick Mahomes, and that's obviously a pretty important thing to do. And you have your pick here of whichever tackle you'd like. They might end up going a lot higher than this, so this is kind of really good value for Kansas City. So just based on who is available, I'm going to end up going with an offensive lineman here, and it's either Maui Noah to play right tackle. I know they have Jawan Taylor. I don't really care. Spencer Fano is also a right tackle. There's not really a left tackle here, unless this is Monroe Freeling lights up the combine and suddenly he's got a ton of hype. And I think he's going to be a good player too. I think Maui Noah is rock solid. He's going to be successful at guard if he can't stick at right tackle, which I think he can. Monroe Freeling, people are going to talk about the exciting upside, but is that going to be the first tackle off the board? This is quite an interesting spot. I think I'm going to go Monroe Freeling because I'm trying to get a left tackle here. Yeah, it seems early, but I guess this is kind of expecting that he's going to light up the combine. He's like 6'7", 315, very nimble, very athletic mover, and I think teams are going to be really tantalized by the potential there. And could he end up being the first tackle off the board? I don't think it's impossible with the upside because you have two right tackles where one might move inside to guard. If you're going for the left tackle that you know he can play left tackle with untapped potential, maybe this is the guy. Bengals at 10. It's a similar spot to where the Chiefs were, in my opinion. And the talk is always defense, 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 but is the right player here? And historically, it seems like they might be a Keldrick Falk team, which is like kind of the way that they draft. But based on who is available here, should the Bengals not just go Francis Maui Noah? We're going to try that today because he's got a chance to play right tackle. Amarius Mims is currently going to be over there, but could he move to left tackle? But could Francis Maui Noah just insert right now at one of the guard spots and upgrade that? I think that's absolutely a possibility. The defense is awful. There's no question. But protecting Joe Burrow also needs to be a priority for the Cincinnati Bengals. As we get to the Dolphins at 11, it's always a cornerback for me. Kind of an early run on receivers this time around, which could absolutely happen. So maybe this could be Jordan Tyson. But the top corners are available. We're going to plug in Mansour Delane and feel pretty good about it because he had such a great season in 2025 with LSU after transferring from Virginia Tech. Really good player, undersized. Now, is this going to be one of the big fallers post-combine because he's small with short arms and maybe won't run all that well? And when I say won't run all that well, he's not going to light it up. I don't know that he's going to be near a 4.3 guy. I think he's more likely to be 4.5 than 4.3. I think very comfortably, and that's where a lot of corners are anyway. And speed is not the end-all be-all, but if he comes out and runs like a 4.51, people are not going to be that excited about him. I'm not saying that's where I think he's going to be, but it's a possibility. Guys train so much for the combine nowadays, you expect the corners to kind of fly and run faster than they might play, because Delane sometimes could have issues with closing speed and long speed, but his ability to actually stay in phase was quite good, I thought. So maybe he will end up running pretty well, but we'll see what happens. Dolphins really need to upgrade corner. Mansour Delane had as good of a season as you're going to find. Cowboys at 12, it's like just the instant Sonny Styles for me. Could end up falling maybe further than this just because he plays linebacker, similarly to how Caleb Downs could be available in this range because he plays safety, or similarly to how Jeremiah Love could be available in this range because he plays running back. We know how this works at this point. Styles, very, very good player, fantastic against the run, height, weight, speed, freak, play strength, tackling, all A+ from Sonny Styles. Cowboys really need to upgrade linebacker. Sonny Styles would certainly do that. 13, I go the Mansour Delane Jermod McCoy combo like every time here for the Rams, but I truly don't believe they need tackle as much as other people seem to think, because I think McClendon came in and played great, and obviously Alaric Jackson's a very good player at this point. Corner is such a need, and Jermod McCoy is such a great value. If the medical's clear at the combine, I think he's going to be back in the conversation to be a top 10 player, top 10 pick in this draft. Ravens at 14. I've just kind of been getting used to Vega Ioane at this pick because I think the talent matches the team very comfortably. So I think he might just be the best player here. Spencer Fano is falling a little bit. Some other tackles have gone off the board. Fano would make a ton of sense to the Dallas Cowboys if he got there, but we ended up going with the linebacker instead. And maybe the Rams could consider that. I mean, you really can never have enough good tackles. because injuries do happen. Ravens, though, at 14. Got to improve the pass rush. I'm not sure the right player is here. I mean, Keldrick Falk at least gives you a high floor player because he's fantastic against the run. So that's not the worst idea. Maybe we'll try that today, just to mix it up a little bit. And it's not in play. He's, again, great against the run, very good on the outside, still working to develop him as a pass rusher. Teams apparently are loving the length, 6'6", 280, 290. We'll see what he comes in at the combine in terms of weight. Those are going to start coming out pretty soon. But we'll see how he tests. For his size is going to be the important thing. We'll see. Bucks at 15. This is always a tough team because, Kenyon Sadiq is here, but just like we talked about with safety, running back, linebacker, tight end is sometimes something that gets pushed down the board a little bit in favor of the more valuable positions. But in terms of the actual players here, man, there are really not a ton of players I feel great about for this team that I think will end up going high. I'm going to go Akeem Mesidor on the basis of him being a pretty polished pass rusher right away. And the Bucks are a team that are fighting to be a playoff team. They're right there. They easily could be. They just need to do a little bit more. And their pass defense is so bad because they can't rush the quarterback well enough. Hassan Reddick was a bit of a bust signing for them. And Todd Bowles is fighting for his life. So even though Mesidor is older, will be a 25-year-old rookie, he is a polished pass rusher right now. Not great against the run, but a polished pass rusher right now. If you're looking for immediate impact the way that the Bucks are, maybe Mesidor's the pick. Jets at 16. This is an interesting one. We went with Ruben Bain at 2. Could double dip on defense, or could try to finish this offense. And it's close. And with John Simpson being a free agent, let's just keep building that offense up. Not sure about quarterback yet, but now this offensive line between a healthy Elijah Vera-Tucker, Vega Ioane also at guard, Joe Tippmann at center, and obviously the two young bookend tackles in Fashanu and the great rookie Armand Membu, you've got a great offensive line, especially in pass protection. Fashanu and Ioane should figure to be one of the best young tackle guard duos in the league in terms of protecting the QB. Membu is not bad at right guard or right tackle. Vera-Tucker's great at right guard. And then Tippmann, I think, could end up being a very quality center. Yeah, it seems like, oh, okay, we need defense. We could take a receiver here. Tyson's available, who I love as a player. Injury concerns, maybe the Jets push off receiver to round 2 and go with the guard at pick 16. Not working out for the Lions. I really feel like these 4 players would be in heavy consideration for the Lions at 17 if they were to make it there. But Spencer Fano somehow continues to fall. And I think this is not a bad option at 17. Can he play left tackle? Hard to say, because we've seen him play right tackle. We have seen in the past Penei Sewell play left tackle and be very good there. So could the Lions do the Tampa Bay Bucks thing and take one of the best right tackles in the league in Tristan Wirfs and kick him over to left tackle where he's still awesome? It's like, we know Penei Sewell can play left tackle because we've seen it. He was awesome at Oregon. He was a first-round tackle that they kicked over to the right side, and it took him a little bit, and then he became one of the best tackles in the league. Could he move back over and maybe even be better on that side? Not impossible. You know, Taylor Decker is someone that I think the Lions are not going to be committed to long-term. Looking for his replacement. Is Fano just the best player here and the best fit for Detroit to where they could either try him at left tackle and try to develop him there for the future? If that doesn't really work, you can try him at right tackle and move Sewell over, which seems a little bit scary because he's so good at right tackle. Why would you want to mess with that? But he's done it before. So I don't see why there'd be an issue with Sewell moving over to left tackle. Either way, it's tough here for the Lions because they're a playoff caliber team who did not make the playoffs in 2025. You're still trying to build for the future, even though you want to win now. And Mesidor is off the board. That would have been a good win now selection. This is really more towards building for the future. And I think it's still very bright for the Lions. Jared Goff is at a very good age. Obviously, you will end up having some contracts coming up for Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, some of these great young players. Aiden Hutchinson's, not cheap. And there are a lot of players kind of like that. And that's why the Lions were so good in 2024. The young talent was incredible when everybody was healthy. Obviously, Hutchinson's had some injury problems, but cornerback certainly a need. Fano might just be the best pick for the future, given that he's available at this spot. At 18, we have the Minnesota Vikings. DB always in play for me here. And I'm going to go with one of the first safeties off the board. The first safety after Caleb Downs, who seems like he's in a different class. Let's go Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. The Vikings safety situation's interesting because you have Josh Metellus back there, who has, in my opinion, always been better when he's being versatile and not refined to one role. He's kind of a guy that can do it all. Like, actually, Metellus is one of the best kept secrets in the NFL. Vikings fans know what I'm talking about when Josh Metellus is at his best. Harrison Smith is into his mid-30s now, or even maybe close to his late 30s. Harrison Smith has been a great player. I think will probably be a Hall of Famer, can't be around forever. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is someone that should have a very good combine because he's got great size. He should run well for his height and weight. He is really an enforcer over the middle of the field at times and has great ball skills. Because of the size, and he's, I think, probably closer to 220, by the way. Because of his size, and we'll see what he ends up, coming in at the combine, he struggles to redirect a little bit, right? But, so did Nick Emanwari, and he ended up finding a great role as a nickel-type player for Seattle. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's a fun prospect. It just depends what type of safety you want, because Dylan Thieneman is also awesome. Zakee Wheatley's fun. Genesis Smith is a great single-high player. Just will he end up sneaking into round 2? I think he will be a day 2 pick. But McNeil-Warren's fun. Yeah, you could go with a cornerback here for sure, and I typically do. Sometimes an interior defensive lineman just because of the age there of, Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. But I'm going to go with a safety today. Kind of moving those up more than I typically would. And then the Panthers. A lot of people are interior defensive line here. And I just don't see that as much. Because I feel like they've invested there. It's still not perfect, but Tershawn Wharton and Derek Brown is a pretty great duo, at least. And then you have like Bobby Brown in the mix too. And, kind of a rotation of guys. Does this need to be a first-round interior defensive lineman? I still feel like they really need help off the edge. I don't know that Cassius Howell ends up being a first-round pick. I think TJ Parker and Zion Young have a chance to go over him. Maybe even Derek Moore, man, because of the size. Howell's a really fun player, but if a team or two views him as only a designated pass rusher, I think he might end up falling a little bit. And then at linebacker, I feel like this is one of those positions that ends up going higher than we expect, and we've seen that. And a lot of the lesser valued positions have done that recently, like the Lions, for example, in that draft with the, Campbell and Gibbs. CJ Allen's a really good player, and I don't think is too crazy here at 19. He's a good athlete with decent size. He's good against the run. He's, again, got good athleticism, has made some plays in the passing game too. And the Panthers really need an upgraded linebacker. So to me, this is just a pretty good fit. As we get to the Cowboys at 20, went with linebacker Sonny Styles a bit earlier. They need pass rush help, but I don't know that the right edge is available for them. Maybe TJ Parker. I don't think they're looking for another light edge like Donovan Ezeraku. I think they'd want more of an edge setter or someone with that ability that can also get to the QB ideally. But their secondary also needs some work, and there are some good corners available. I'm going to go Colton Hood at 20 to the Dallas Cowboys. He's got good size. He had a really good season. Kind of an up-and-down Senior Bowl, but he's quite a good player and certainly in play to be a first-round pick. Steelers at 21. I've been Jordan Tyson here a lot because he keeps finding himself available, and he could end up going a lot earlier than this, but just lately he's falling for me. Not really for any particular reason, or just getting other players up the board, and I think his injury concerns might end up moving him down. And we often see receivers fall, more than we think they might pre-draft. And it's like, where would Tyson go if not at 21 to the Steelers? I feel like this just makes a lot of sense because Chargers would be unlikely. I mean, maybe the Eagles because the talent's there and there are some questions with A.J. Brown. Browns, I think, are unlikely to double dip, although that would be fun. I think it's unlikely. This just really feels like it would have to be Jordan Tyson if he's here, and I know I've been doing that a lot lately, but doing it again. Chargers at 22. It's interior D-line or interior O-line probably, and the interior O-line, it's not really fully there in terms of guys that I expect to be first-round picks, but what you could do is take an exciting offensive tackle that may project to the inside, and this kind of fits the power profile that the Chargers want to build into. Proctor's still learning how to use that power a little bit. He's got incredible size. I wish he was lighter because he kind of struggles to redistribute that weight sometimes because there's so much of it. But when he's moving in a straight line, he's quite a good athlete, and he's also visibly athletic in his pass sets as well. So I think teams are going to be very intrigued by Caden Proctor. Somebody will take a chance on him in the first round. And there's also a thought that he could move inside to guard, which is what he would be doing here. However, with your injury-prone tackle, or even tackles, I don't want to put that on Joe Alt, but Rashawn Slater gets hurt a lot. Caden Proctor could move in and play tackle. Like, you have someone who's experienced there, even if he's not perfect. I feel like this is a good fit for the Chargers, and I probably will continue to do that when Caden Proctor is available for me at that pick. Eagles at 23. I go cornerback here a lot, but I'm going to go Kenyon Sadiq today. Sadiq's a really good player. I don't know if this is, fits what the Eagles want to do. A lesser valued position in the first round. Does Howie Roseman actually do that? Maybe, maybe not. But Sadiq's a really good player. You have some injury concerns with Dallas Goedert. They're looking for more from their offense anyway. And getting somebody like Kenyon Sadiq that can be a mismatch against linebackers and defensive backs could be a really good fit. He's a great athlete, really works hard when healthy as a run blocker, and he doesn't need to be this unbelievable route runner when he is just more athletic than the linebackers and bigger than the DBs. It just works. He's a great athlete. Browns at 24. It would have been nice if Spencer Fano fell to them. The Browns honestly are a team that could in theory double dip on offensive linemen in round one. I think absolutely could. And it's really the tackles here over the guards. I just don't know that the right guard is here. If we're shooting for a left tackle, it's Lomu. If we want a right tackle, it's Iheanacho or Miller. Markel Bell could end up going day 2, but he's not really a round 1 player to me. I think we will just go Caleb Lomu. This is the shot at a left tackle. We've seen him do it at Utah and do so at a high level. The Browns' offensive line is just not good, and it doesn't get better as Wyatt Teller says he's not going to be back with Cleveland. They need help badly. Bears at 25. Give me Caleb Banks. I think Caleb Banks has a really good chance to be the first interior defensive lineman off the board. He's got incredible size and length, 6'6", 330, powerful hands. He's good against the run, can also be a disruptor as a pass rusher as well. It's exactly what the Bears need. So another Florida interior defensive lineman for the Bears, joining Javon Dexter. Bills at 26. The Bills are probably a receiver here, given how the board has fallen. I think almost certainly. And there are some good options. Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. What if this is Omar Cooper? He is very good after the catch. Kind of fits for a Bills receiver. Not that he's Khalil Shakir, but he's also quite a good athlete. He's got good overall size. And you look at Omar Cooper Jr., he catches the ball better than Casey Concepcion, and he separates and is better after the catch than Denzel Boston. Does that not make him potentially a better prospect than both? It's something to think about. And for the Bills, man, you need help at receiver. There's no question. And so do the 49ers, because Brandon Ayuk is never going to play there again. They are also constantly dealing with injuries. Give me a receiver here. Just which type do they prefer? And I think the versatility and I would say schematic advantages that Casey Concepcion gives you are maybe going to be more intriguing here for the 49ers because he's so dynamic with the football. He's a great return man. We've seen him be able to do that. But can this, not that he's Deebo Samuel at all, but can he be the guy that you scheme touches to in a similar way? Maybe so. Really, really good athlete. Can play on the outside. I don't think he's going to be slot exclusive. It's a fun fit here for San Francisco. Texans at 28. I always want to go O-line here. The right guy is just not really here. It just doesn't really seem to be to me. So I often pivot to interior defensive line where there are some quite good players. And I think the potential of Peter Woods is still really, really good. Again, we talked about it a lot on this channel. He has not been as good as he was as a freshman or sophomore lately. However, and I say lately, I mean his junior year, this past year. However, the size is great. The athleticism is great. His best football still may be ahead of him. And joining that defensive line with Danielle Hunter and obviously Will Anderson, this could be really fun. And it's not like the interior defensive line's awful. It's just because it could use some more youth. I mean, Danico Autry's like 50. They could get younger. Rams at 29. I've been Ty Simpson here pretty often. And I also think linebacker could be in play quite a bit. I just don't know that the right one is available here for the Rams. You know, Omar Speights struggles to kind of move in space and redirect, and I don't know that they have anyone that's great in coverage here. I mean, Galladay maybe. I mean, he's not Carson Schwarzenegger, but he is reminiscent of him. Maybe a bit bigger, but a very good athlete. Oh, I'm going to talk myself into it. I'm going to go Jake Galladay here out of Cincinnati. Really good athlete with good size, can move in space, and that is, you know, maybe he's even bigger than Schwarzenegger again, but that's kind of the description that I would give you of UCLA Carson Schwarzenegger. And for the Rams, that defense is very good, but you could upgrade Omar Speights pretty easily. And you have such a great attacking front, a ton of speed, a ton of power. Go out and get a better second level player. Like, receiver is in play here for the Rams, I think, long term, but you don't necessarily need to do it at 28. Maybe you have to go with the linebacker. And maybe the Broncos could do the same here at 30. I also think they could add a receiver. It showed to be a pretty huge need. I think Denzel Boston's actually a pretty good fit here as well. You know, you look at Courtland Sutton long term, and I think Denzel Boston is a similar type of idea. So he's a similar concept. And if all goes well, I mean, maybe you have two Courtland Suttons in a way. Patriots at 31. Some good players still on the board. I mean, Avion Terrell, I love, but is just a smaller corner, and maybe that keeps him out of the first round as good as he is. The Patriots here, I've often been tackle. However, they got to improve that pass rush long term. They got some good play out of a number of players that you wouldn't have necessarily expected. Kind of had the edge rusher sit on the board a little bit, but you know, if the Bills, Bears, and Niners pass on edge, like, those guys could make it here. And I think the speed of Cassius Howell could be quite valuable to Mike Vrabel's defense here. I think you look at, you know, some of the impact players in Tennessee over the years. They weren't necessarily the biggest edge rushers. They can be a little bit small, a little bit faster, as long as they're productive, and Howell has certainly been that. Look to improve the pass rush. This is a good way to do it. Seahawks at 32, they have so many expiring contracts in their secondary. I think this is going to be a corner. And, I mean, I'll probably put Brandon Cisse back in the first round following the combine because he's going to test unbelievably well. We're going to go Avion Terrell today. Great player. He plays bigger than he is. He's a little bit smaller, but he's fast. He's physical. He's got a great nose for the football. And with all these expiring contracts for Seattle in their secondary, Reek Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Terrell makes sense for sure. You don't know who you're going to be able to bring back. Terrell is such a good player. As we move into round 2 for the first time on this channel in 2026, the Jets had previously gone guard and edge rusher. Receiver, edge rusher, still potentially in play. Interior defensive line in play. Caden McDonald is here. And that's going to be my pick, though. Big, space-eating interior defensive lineman. Kind of Tyleek Williams-esque to go to the Ohio State comp here. He's just a big mammoth to plug up the middle and make life easier for everybody else. Great run defender. I feel really good about Caden McDonald as a prospect. So people have asked me, why is he not a first-round player for you consistently? Well, the league has shown that they don't value a true nose tackle that may not ever really be able to rush the QB. He's a great run defender that I think has flashed enough as a pass rusher to warrant being a first-round selection. It didn't happen today, but this is a good combo with the Jets. Caden McDonald, obviously we just took Reuben Bain at the top of the first round. Jawan Briggs has some potential as a pass rusher. This is a fun little defensive line that we are building. Cardinals at 34, of course, went with Jeremiah Love at 3. Tackle has kind of worked here because we can keep Maxi Anachor in state. Start at right tackle. Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. You need to improve this offensive line. Iheanacho has only started playing tackle in high school, in football in high school. So this is somebody with untapped potential that moves really well, is already gigantic. Could be a good fit there in Arizona. He should have some familiarity with the area. Titans at 35, of course, went with David Bailey at 4. Could this be where you try to help out Cam Ward with a receiver? Could you also try to potentially get another edge in there and improve that defensive line? I think these are possibilities, but I might lean receiver, and there are some good ones available that I feel good about. This is a really talented receiver class, and you're probably going to start to see a lot of receivers fly off the board for me in this range, and it just depends what type of player we're looking for. And I think I'd like the big body jump ball receiver. We're going to go Malachi Fields to the Tennessee Titans. He's got really good size, had a great Senior Bowl, has made some amazing highlight reel level catches at Notre Dame over the past season or so. And could he end up going in the first round? Not impossible. This would be a fun weapon for Cam Ward. Raiders at 36, another team that I think could highly consider a receiver here. Got Mendoza at 1. We've often seen the rookie quarterback, rookie receiver combo in the first and second round. And it's worked at times as well. So what do we want to do for the Raiders? Brock Bowers obviously awesome. Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, traded away Jacoby Myers. Could you be looking for that reliable guy? I'm not taking Elijah Surratt here. I'm not. Omar Cooper would have been ideal. That didn't happen. But could we go with Jeremy Bernard? Bernard, I don't know, is going to wow anybody. He's got good overall size. He's a good athlete. He's consistent. He's good everything. This is your Jacoby Myers in a way. I don't know that he's ever going to be some superstar, but I think he's going to be consistent and reliable, and that is not a bad option here at the top of the second round. Giants at 37. Man, TJ Parker continues to be available. I think this would probably be either receiver or interior defensive line for the Giants, who went Caleb Downs at 5. I think helping out Jackson Dart is not the worst idea. it kind of sucks that a couple of receivers have flown off the board before the Giants, but there's still so many available, and there's so many different types. I think we will end up going cornerback, such a need too. I think we will end up going receiver, though. Just which type do we want? Yeah, I'm looking for somebody that's going to complement what's already there, which is kind of just Malik Neighbors. Man, I really actually don't love the options for the Giants in particular, even though I do like a lot of these receivers that are available. I love Chris Bell. I don't know that he's going this high. Torn ACL. Don't know when you're going to get him in 2026. We're going to go corner. We're going to go Brandon Cisse. He's a great athlete. He's going to light up the combine. Could be a first-round pick. Still developing with his feel for zone, but obviously with his athleticism, can certainly hang in man, stay in phase, and could be a good fit here for the Giants that are looking for an outside corner, and his athleticism would be greatly appreciated. The Giants have a lot of options here. I'm not saying this is the guaranteed pick here. You know, they obviously could go interior defensive line. Linebacker, I would think, would very much be in play. The Giants have a lot of needs, so it's tough to say what this would be. But, you know, tackle obviously as well. That's why Caleb Downs at 5 is kind of an interesting selection because, yeah, it's a really good player. I guess it's an upgrade over Tyler Nubin for sure. But you still have a lot of needs post Caleb Downs. And we've gone back-to-back secondary here. It's an interesting takeaway. But receiver's going to be good into round 3 as well. The Giants don't have a third-round pick, though. I don't believe so. We'll see what ends up happening. Gonna go Cisse for right now. I could undo the pick, but I'm gonna stay Cisse. Texans at 38. Gonna go Chase Basantis. Keep him fairly local from College Station down to Houston. Really good pass protector. What do the Texans need to protect C.J. Stroud? Give him a chance. Give him more time to develop and be the guy that we saw as a rookie. Browns at 39. I might go back-to-back guards here. I'm probably going to. We're going to go Emmanuel Pregnon at 39. The Browns need so much help in their O-line. Pregnon had a great season for Oregon after transferring in. I guess he's got a chance to go in the first. He just is a guard, and it's tough to get those guys in the first round. I think Vega Ioane is a guarantee to be selected, but the other guards I'm not so sure will be absolute first-round picks. Chiefs at 40. Went with Monroe Freeling earlier. Think receivers in play, but edge rusher, I mean, TJ Parker's right there. He's probably fallen too far. He's got good enough size to where I think Steve Spagnuolo would want him on his defense. He showed the ability at the Senior Bowl that we kind of saw a couple years ago. His long arm is a really devastating move for offensive tackles. He's a good athlete. Like TJ Parker just didn't have the greatest 2025. Nobody on Clemson's defense besides Avion Terrell did. But Parker could be quite a good player, and he's just kind of probably getting to be too good to be available at 40, but that's what happens. Good players fall. Lee Hunter's a good player, and he's available here for the Bengals, who need to improve their defensive line, need to improve their pass rush from the interior, need to improve their run defense. Hunter is gigantic and has flashed as a pass rusher. Just got to keep that pad level down. He'll be a more consistent, really good player, but he's awesome. And has the potential to be a really, really nice pickup on day 2 here for any team. And he could go in round 1. Saints at 42. Got a little bit interesting with Mekhi Lemon at 8. Still have needs all over that defense. I think offensive line is still in play. I want to get Dylan Thieneman off the board, man. How is he still available? I guess it's not that strange, but I want to get him off the board. I want to get a lot of these players off the board, man. There's still like pretty decent talent here. A lot of these guys I've used similarly, though. Ty Simpson's still available. Where's he going to go? Maybe Jets at 44. For the Saints, though, there are some intriguing options. And I think it probably will be an edge rusher for me. And I mean, I usually prefer the 3-down players. I project them a little bit higher. I like Zion Young a lot. He's got really good size. He's good against the run. He has flashed as a pass rusher. He's young. There is potential here for Zion Young to be an impact player for a team, and the Saints are the one that takes the shot trying to improve that defense. Dolphins at 43. How about a receiver here? New offense, of course. No more Mike McDaniel, who I think is going to be a great coordinator with the Chargers. We'll see when he gets a new head coach shot. But the Dolphins, of course, Mansour Delane at 11. Receivers in play. I still think you go with a corner. I think you go with the safety. And actually, you know what? That's what I'm going to do here. We were just talking about it. I'm going to get Dylan Thieneman off the board. He's a really good player. And safety's not maybe the biggest need ever for the Dolphins, but he's a good fit into that Hafley defense. He flies around the field. He can tackle. He can cover. This is quite a good player. So the Dolphins, who need to improve their secondary, have really done that so far in this draft with Delane and Thieneman. Jets at 44. It may be unpopular, but Ty Simpson could end up being a first-round player. The Jets have so many picks. They have 33. They have 16. They have 2. They have a ton of picks next year. The Jets are a team that can just afford to take a shot at a quarterback here. You don't have one. And they could go the Tyler Shuck type approach of take one at the top of the second round. They have so many swings where if Ty Simpson doesn't work out, you kind of don't really even care that much. I know that sounds crazy, but they have so many picks. You can try out Ty Simpson, and if he's good, you have your quarterback. And if he's not good, you're still picking at the top of the first round next year probably, and you have multiple first-round picks next year. Ty Simpson. He had a great first half of the season, minus maybe the first game, and then was hurt and didn't really play well in the second half at all. But the potential there for Ty Simpson, he could be a starter caliber player. Don't know if he's going to be a superstar. I mean, he's a little bit undersized, and you can look, it's going to say like 6'2", 210 or whatever. I don't know that he's that, and he looks smaller. It's kind of putting everything into each throw. Not really an easy thrower of the football. That kind of stresses me out a little bit, but he can be a starting caliber player. Ravens at 45. Man, would love to go with a guard here. Of course, went with Keldrick Falk at 14. Still think defensive line's in play. Still think cornerback is in play. Of the available offensive linemen, Billy Schrauth is intriguing to me. I could see that. I could see that very easily, actually. I think we're going to do that. Had some success with Notre Dame offensive linemen. Maybe this is early for Billy Schrauth. This is kind of like maybe a need over BPA type of pick. But he's good. I think he's going to end up being a starter. And if you get a starting guard at 45, that's not bad. And, I mean, which guards here have a chance? I mean, Jalen Farmer maybe could be a starter. I think Logan Jones could be a starter, but is a center for sure. I mean, there's some good players available, but the guards might end up going pretty quickly. There might be a run of the actual guys that can become starters in the league. Bucks at 46, of course, went with Akeem Mesidor earlier. Yeah, you can consider tight end. I just don't think the class is all that great here. A lot of people like Eli Stowers. But I think we could also look to improve linebacker, and there's some great ones that are still here. I'm going to go Ant Hill. Hook 'em horns. Levante David is super old. Even so, you need more there. Absolutely. And Anthony Hill could be a fun fit in this defense. He is great downhill. He's a great blitzer. I think Todd Bowles would find a use for him. There's no question. Colts at 47 for the first time because the Colts traded away their first-round pick. Got Sauce Gardner in return. You like that? But the Colts, man. This is a team that needs a lot of help. You're going to have some free agents at safety, or at least Nick Cross will be a free agent, right? So that's certainly a position of need. I don't think there's necessarily a quarterback worth drafting here. You know, maybe a lot of people like Cole Payton down the board, but not here at 47. So what do we want to do? I'm thinking that linebacker probably stands out to me with the available talent, and I really do like Josiah Trotter. He's great against the run. He's only a redshirt sophomore. He has very good size, obviously the NFL pedigree. His brother is Jeremiah Trotter Jr., whose dad is, man, what is his name? It'll come to me. Too many bits on this channel, probably. But yeah, obviously Jeremiah Trotter Sr. So I'm excited about his potential. Obviously, just being the son of an NFL player doesn't mean anything, really. But his tape's great, and he's very good against the run with good size. Good athlete, too. At 48, also, for the first time, the Atlanta Falcons. Man, the James Pierce trade looks even worse now because is he ever going to play in the NFL again? Maybe. I think it's a possibility for sure, but it doesn't look great. He got a lot of charges right now, so we will say he's allegedly a maniac. And that's about all we can say right now. Kyle Pitts expected to sign an extension potentially. He just got franchise tagged. Receiver's a big need, and there's some really fun players available. Now, in the thumbnail, it's going to be Zach Branch. Do I want to go with Zach Branch here? I don't think he goes this early. I really don't. I like the receivers who are available. Skylar Bell's going to make an impact probably as a slot. Chris Brazel's got some good potential. Got, very good size. Very good long speed. I think is a more advanced route runner than the typical Tennessee receiver, or at least shown the ability to be. And I think you need more receiver. You need quarterback also, if we're going to be talking about skill players. But which receiver do we want to go with? I'll tell you, Antonio Williams is a player I like a lot. He may only be slot exclusive or Z in the NFL, but he's good. You get to keep him fairly local here. Clemson to Atlanta, not too big of a trip. The only concern, maybe, is he going to be enough of a deep threat for you? I think some of his lack of production in that regard was a function of the offense and Cade Klubnik. But Williams, I think, is a really good, reliable player that can be a monster in the slot from day one. Vikings at 49. Went with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at 18. I think interior defensive line's in play, but so many great cornerbacks kind of available right here. And some really good nickel cornerbacks as well, but Abney is kind of like the last one that I think is going to be a boundary among these guys. I mean, I love D'Angelo Pons, but he's small. Keontae Scott is a nickel. Chris Johnson's a nickel. Chandler Rivers is a nickel. Devin Moore's got great size. I really like Traden Stukes, actually, as well. Curious to see what he ends up doing. Will Lee is a boundary, to be fair. Igbinosun's a boundary. But a lot of great slot corners in this range. Abney, really good too. I think he could be a really effective slot corner, but I think he can stick on the outside. He is an eliminator of slants, under routes. His downhill trigger is fantastic. Really, really good player. Vikings could use more at corner for sure, and we've kind of gone with the secondary approach for a couple of teams in this draft. Lions back on the board. So went with the pick of the future there at 17. Now we're going to try to get some real impact right away, and that's going to be with a pass rusher. And just thinking about how the Lions operate, I think Derek Moore is the guy. I like Derek Moore as a prospect, probably more than most. He's got very good size. He's shown the potential to be better against the run with that size. He can set the edge, but we just need to be a little bit better overall. He can rush the passer, and he's going to be a 3-down player. Keep him in state. I think this is a good fit. Easy guy to root for. He's already going to have that established support around him. I think that's important for rookies. And, they need an impact player off the edge outside of Aiden Hutchinson. As do the Panthers, who are back on the clock. And maybe if you want to go interior defensive line, maybe this is the time. I also think edge is in play as well. And R. Mason Thomas is a very, very good pass rusher. Really good athlete. He is undersized. So it's just a question of how high he's going to go in the draft. I think he's going to test well. But these designated pass rushers is tough for me to get off the board quickly. because I don't think they typically go that high. But this is a good fit for the Panthers defense. If I would consider Cassius Howell at 19, I'll certainly consider R. Mason Thomas at 51. Packers at 52, because they also do not have a first-round pick traded to the Cowboys, and I think they came away pretty strong with Micah Parsons. When healthy, is a stud. But there are some big-time needs here. I agree on interior defensive line and corner, but they don't really need a nickel. So a lot of these corners that are available that I like a lot, maybe not the best fit here. And I really like these players. I really, really do. They're all going to fly off the board here in the second round for me. Johnson, Pons, and Scott, I guarantee you, will be on it. And Stukes, I'm going to try to get in there as well, for sure. Only so many picks remaining. But for the Packers in particular, I think we're going to go interior defensive line here. And Kristen Miller is probably just too good to be available. So that will be the pick. Packers love their Georgia players. And Kristen Miller, good run defender, good size, can rush the passer a little bit as well. That's the value at interior defensive line. Steelers back on the board. This is where I'm going to go with one of these explosive nickel corners, and that's Keontae Scott. I really like Keontae Scott. And I thought his best games in 2025 were exceptional. Like some of the best tape of any player in this class. That seems crazy to say, but that's truly how I feel. And I think that if he could be a little bit more consistent, there's a star here. I think he can play in the slot. Can you move him to the outside? Maybe, but I think he's going to be so impactful as a slot. I think he can play safety, and this is the right defense to go to. And you look at a team that's still actively trying to compete. If they go out and add Jordan Tyson, who will, I think, be an impact player right away at receiver, and Keontae Scott, who I think could be an impact player right away in their secondary, you're still competing now, and you got younger, even though Scott's a little bit of an older prospect. That's something that dings him like Akeem Mesidor in this class for Miami. Man, this would be fun. This would be a fun haul for the Steelers, in my opinion. Eagles at 54 went with tight end earlier. Could this be a corner? I mean, ideally, you're looking for an outside guy, but maybe Chris Johnson could stay on the outside. He's got good enough size, even though I think he profiles as a great nickel. They need more in their secondary anyway. And Chris Johnson from San Diego State, good Senior Bowl, very good tape in general. He is a good player. And not bad here at 54 for Philly. At 55, Chargers. How do I not go with a center here? I know interior defensive line, go with a big space heater, but how early is Connor Lew going to go off the board? He was good, and then he was hurt. I'm going to go with Jake Slaughter. You know, the expectations were really high for this Florida offensive line. He's got pretty decent size. He's not especially old. And the Florida O-line wasn't amazing, but they weren't terrible. Like Austin Barber is a guy that could sneak in, day two. Slaughter's got the potential to be a starter, though. And you look at Bradley Bozeman, who is the worst center in football. Slaughter is probably an upgrade tomorrow. So you've really committed to protecting Justin Herbert, but that should be a priority. Jags at 56. You'll notice no Jags in the first round. Why? Travis Hunter trade. Another team that we just have not seen. A lot of teams like this without first round picks. What do you do if you're the Jags? Jags could use help in their secondary. And I think D'Angelo Pons is just a good player. And I think general manager James Gladstone, a.k.a. some think me, will appreciate that. He's just a good, tough football player who is undersized, very undersized, but competitive and tough and physical, and is a great tackler. Can he get obliterated by offensive linemen in the run game? Of course. Of course he can. But he's good in coverage. He's tenacious. He's feisty. All these things you want from a corner. And the Jags have some free agents there, like Greg Newsome, for example. So Pons is looking to be some type of replacement or just a good fit in their secondary in general. He's just a good player. Is he going to be an outside corner in the NFL? I really don't know. But he's as good of a cornerback as you're going to find. He's just small. That's what drops him. At 57, the Chicago Bears back on the clock. Went with Caleb Banks at 25. Could still improve the pass rush. Could also, by the way, look to replace Jaquan Brisker. Brisker's a really good player, but is a free agent. Zakee Wheatley from Penn State as well could just be his easy replacement. Now, it's maybe not the favorite thing if you're the Bears. You want to keep Jaquan Brisker, but if you can't, Wheatley's not a bad replacement. Really good athlete, really fun player, has a chance to go higher than this, but of course, the safeties ended up dropping a little bit for me outside of, I guess, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, of course, Caleb Downs, who went very early. Niners at 58. This is where I think I would heavily consider a designated pass rusher type because you've had so many injuries off the edge. I don't think Bryce Huff is a part of their long-term future. Upgraded receiver early. So could this be a guy I just really like in that role? Joshua Josephs. He's a little bit undersized, but can really rush the passer. Texans at 59 went with Peter Woods earlier. Still looking for something on this O-line. Man, Blake Miller's still here. I mean, some of these guys are probably falling just a little bit too much. I am going to pull the trigger on Blake Miller because, you know, he's got a chance to start at right tackle. Maybe you think he can move inside to guard. And for the Texans, I think you would certainly value that versatility, but also the talent level is good here. And again, you've got to protect C.J. Stroud. Went with Chase Pasantis earlier. Now we're going with the tackle first type of player as we look to continue to build around your young quarterback. At 60, got to be a pass rusher for me, and Gabe Akis is available. He has decent overall size. He is powerful. He is athletic. And it's good value here at the end of round 2. You know, there's some really good players still available, or there's good value. It's tough to get everybody off the board that I want to. Yeah, I said there was going to be a huge run on receivers, and it hasn't been exactly that. But I think the Rams will change that at 61. We are trying to plan for a future without Devontae Adams, and he's not going to be around forever. And outside of Puka Nacua in 2 years, you got like nothing at receiver. Chris Bell feels like a good fit for the Rams. He's so good with the football in his hands. He's powerful after the catch. He's kind of built like Deebo Samuel in a way, but a little bit bigger, but can still win down the field. Chris Bell's a fun player. Coming off a torn ACL, hurts his draft value, and that's why I think he's a steal here at 61. Broncos on the board. We're going to go, I think, with either a tight end or a linebacker here. And I think I prefer the available tight ends, even though I'm not especially high. I mean, I do like Joe Royer down the board a little bit, but I think Eli Stowers is a good fit for this offense. Evan Ingram had a pretty bad year, but that's kind of what you're hoping for out of Eli Stowers, like in terms of like who he could be. Not this version of Evan Ingram, but obviously the one that we've seen in the past. He's not your typical tight end. He's more of, you know, the move tight end compared to the inline Y, but he's a player people like quite a bit and could be good value here at the end of round 2. Patriots at 63. Cassius Howell at 31. Could still go offensive line, and I think protecting Drake May needs to be a priority. I actually like Caleb Tiernan here. Caleb Tiernan is going to be the easy pick. Because could he stay at tackle? Yes, maybe, but also could move inside to guard. So a lot of these tackles could. And that could be a good fit here for the Patriots, where Tiernan, if you're committed to having Will Campbell play left tackle, please move Jared Wilson to center. Caleb Tiernan could take over at left guard, and that would be fun. And then the Seahawks to end things, Avion Terrell at 32. What do we want? I kind of want to go with a receiver here to get one off the board because I like the available talent. And sure, receiver doesn't seem to be the biggest need for Seattle, but look at their receiving room. It's not like it's incredible. You have one very great receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then some aging players like Cooper Kupp, who you can't rely on, in my opinion, long-term, obviously. And Torrey Horton, when healthy, we'll see. But we've seen him flash. We've seen him play well. Haven't seen him be incredible. Wanted to potentially get Skylar Bell off the board. I wanted to get Brennan Thompson off the board. I wanted to get Ted Hurst off the board. He's going to be a really fun player somewhere on day 2, I think. But I'm going to go Chris Brazzell. The receiver talent that's still available is quite good. Why Brazzell? He's a field stretcher. He can make life even easier for Jackson Smith-Njigba and gives you the size that you maybe didn't otherwise have. So that is the 2-round mock draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to come by for the stream combine coverage. We've got it on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. It's going to be a fun 4-day weekend. So come by, check it out, hang out. Let's watch some underwear Olympics. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.